Hello, I'm Dr. Iain Stewart and I'm the undergraduate admissions tutor at UCL History. In this short video, I'm going to explain the structure of a typical 3-year BA History degree at UCL. And I'm going to begin by telling you about some of the underlying principles according to which we've designed our history curriculum. And there are basically 3 of these. The first important principle is that we want all of our students to engage in original research from the moment they arrive with us in the first year, and to develop increasingly sophisticated original research projects through every stage of the degree in the second and the third year. Second principle is that we want to offer structured support to help our students develop their skills as researchers and writers, whether that's from making the big jump from school level to university level study of history, or preparing you gradually to develop the skills and abilities to put together a 10,000 word research dissertation in your third year of your degree. So structured support to develop your skills is really, really important. And the third key principle that informs the way we've designed our curriculum is that we really want to offer all of our undergraduate students the greatest possible degree of choice when it comes to determining the topics that they study and the periods that they focus on. Okay, so one of the things that's really great about UCL History is we have a very broad range chronologically and geographically in terms of the kind of things you can study with us, and we encourage students to range as widely as they can across all of the different periods and regions that we have on offer. But there's no compulsion to do that. If students want to focus on modern European or ancient or American or whatever else, you can construct your history degree in a way that really reflects your own particular interests as a student. There are very few compulsory options on a UCL history degree, as I will explain further later on. But for now, let's move on to talk about each of the 3 years in a typical BA history degree at UCL. And I'm going to begin obviously with the first year. And one of the first things that we're trying to achieve with first year students is, of course, helping you successfully to make that big jump from school level study of history to studying the subject at that higher university level. And we have 2 modules that are specifically designed to help you with that. The first is called Writing History. It's a tutorial-based model which is linked to one of the survey modules that I'm going to talk about a bit later on. Okay. It's taught in small tutorial groups, and it's about giving you the practical researching and writing skills that you need to actually put together a good standard university level essay. So it's teaching you things like how to do a bibliography, footnotes, how to engage with historiography, the kinds of practical things that you need to do a good standard university level history essay. It's a kind of practical skills based course. The second module that's designed to help you make the jump to studying at university is called Approaching History. Now this is a bit different because it's not so much about kind of practical skills, it's more about the theories and methods that historians use in their own research. So we teach you about all of the different kinds of history that historians research and write. To give you an example of one of the things that you'll encounter on this course then, by the time you finish Approaching History, you'll understand what the difference is between social history and cultural history, for example. How do social and cultural historians differ in terms of the kinds of sources that they use or the kinds of concepts that they apply to the study of those different sources? Okay, so it's kind of a theories and methods course, if you like. In addition to these kind of practical courses, we also offer our first years what are called survey modules. Now, the idea of survey modules is to give our students a big, broad, introductory survey of a particular region over a long stretch of time. Okay, and I'm going to put some examples of different survey modules that we currently have on offer on the screen, and here you can see again the considerable range, both geographically and temporally, of the courses that we have on offer. So Bronze Age states in the ancient Middle East through to the contemporary history of the United States and many more things in between. So the idea here is, introductory level general histories of big topics over long periods. Now, the third thing that we try to get all of our first year students to do is engage in original research projects from the first week that they arrive with us. And we do this for a particular course called making history. Now, this is a module that's designed to get our students thinking in new ways about the process of constructing history from initial evidence gathering right through to the dissemination of your research findings to a public audience. So the idea is that from the start of your degree, you won't just be reading history, but you'll actually be doing the kind of work that professional historians do. Now, the way that this works is students collaborate in small groups on projects that draw their source material from some of the many galleries, archives, museums, monuments and public spaces that we have in the immediate vicinity of UCL here in central London. And the students then present their findings as a piece of public history, which could be an exhibition, it could be a podcast, a mobile app, a blog. There's all sorts of different possibilities in terms of the way that the research findings are presented. But in terms of some of the kinds of subjects that our students work on, well, you can see some examples on the screen over there. And you can see from these examples how the projects really do encourage students to engage in the history of London and its built environment and the material culture of the city. So I'm going to move on now to talk a little bit about the second year of our history degree. Now, some of the things that you studied in the first year, you'll continue into the second year. So, for example, in your second year, you will do 1 or 2 survey modules of the kind that you've encountered in the first year, and which I talked about a little bit earlier. But there are 2 new things that you're going to do in the second year. So the first thing is that you're going to become a bit more specialised in your research interests. And one of the ways that this is going to happen is by undertaking what's called a thematic seminar. Now, I've put some examples of thematic seminars on the screen. The first difference between a thematic seminar and a survey module is that these are all taught in small groups of up to about 15 people in a class, whereas a survey module is taught through a combination of big lecture to maybe 100 students combined with a seminar. Thematic seminars are only taught in small classes of up to 15 students. A second difference with the survey modules is that they offer histories of big topics, but from particular, more specialist angles. So, for instance, rather than studying the general history of the European Middle Ages, as you might do in a survey module, in a thematic seminar, you study the history of the Middle Ages from the angle of the subject of sin in the Middle Ages. To give you a second example, on a thematic seminar, rather than studying the general history of the Cold War, as you might do for a survey module, instead you study the cultural history of the Cold War. That's one of the courses that I teach to second and third year students at UCL. Now, in addition to becoming increasingly specialised in your research interests, you will also become increasingly independent as a researcher in your own right. And you do this through undertaking a new kind of course, a second new kind of course, called a research seminar. Now, research seminars are designed so that by the end of this module, which lasts for 20 weeks, you will produce one 5,000-word essay, which will be based on substantial primary research. So it'll be another piece of original research. And you are going to devise your own research problem, find your own sources, apply your own concepts to those sources and produce an original long essay. You can see on the screen some of the different subject areas that we offer for research seminars. In terms of the way that these courses are taught, is a combination of teaching you the basics of the topic itself, and you can see the kind of topics that we offer here on the screen, and there are more on the website. But we don't just teach you the topic, we're also teaching you about how to devise an original research project of your own, how to put together the historiography, find the sources, and write an original long essay. So it's partly about teaching you the topic, but it's very much also about giving you the skills that you need to write an original primary research-based long essay. Now, one of the reasons that we do this in the second year is because we know that when you get into your third year, you're going to have to write a 10,000-word dissertation using primary sources. Okay, so second year research essay is like basically it's a mini dissertation, half a dissertation. We know in the third year you're going to do this 10,000 word dissertation, which is kind of the crown jewels of the undergraduate history degree. It's going to count for a lot of your overall mark in the degree. So it's really important that by the time you get into the third year and write that dissertation, you've had that kind of really kind of structured and supported experience of working on that 5,000 word research seminar essay. So as you get into the third year, then the dissertation is the first thing that's obviously new and specific to the third year. The second thing that's specific to the third year is that you will do what's called a special subject. Now, the dissertation that you write will usually be linked to the special subject. The special subject is like a thematic seminar taught over 20 weeks, but what's specific about this particular kind of module is that it's very, very heavily based on the study, the in-depth study of primary source material. And the course is assessed primarily through the way that you engage with primary sources. So the examination for this course will typically involve a lot of source commentary exercises, more so than answering essay questions, for instance. Okay. Now you can see on the screen some examples of just a few different kinds of special subject options that we currently have on offer. There's a much more extensive list of special subject options available on the UCL History website. Now, in addition to the special subjects in the dissertation, in your third year, you may also do another thematic seminar of the kind that I was talking about before. We also, in the third year, get you to do 2 or more advanced seminars. They're effectively a bit like thematic seminars, but rather than being taught over 20 weeks, they're taught over 10 weeks. So again, kind of big topics, but from a specialist sort of angle. And you can see some examples of different kinds of advanced seminars, again, on the UCL History website. So to conclude, I just want to return to the 3 principles that I began with. You've seen we offer original research in every year of the degree, first of all through the Making History project, then through your second year research seminar, 5,000 word essay, and then finally in the third year through that 10,000 word dissertation. You've seen also that we offer structured support to develop your skills. First of all, in the first year by giving you the support you need to make that jump from school to university. Then in the second year by giving you that research seminar so you can kind of practice doing a long essay using primary sources, so that when you get into the third year, you do dissertation, you really know what you're doing and you've got that special subject that's kind of aligned with your dissertation topic. So again, you're getting a lot of support. In my other video, I talk a lot more about the kind of support that we offer to our students. You're going to get one-to-one feedback on every piece of formally assessed written work that you submit. You'll get a lot of one-to-one tutorial time to plan the various essays and assignments that you do during your time with us. So it's going to be a highly, highly stimulating degree programme, but you're also going to get a lot of kind of support to develop your skills as it moves on through its 3 different years. Now, the third key principle that I mentioned is choice. There's very, very little compulsion. The only module that students have to do in which there isn't any kind of choice in terms of the topic would be the approaching history module that you do in the first year. Every single other module that you study at UCL History, you choose what topic you're doing. Okay, and that's something that most other history departments are not able to offer. Okay. I think I've just about said everything that I needed to say for the purposes of the video. I hope it's been informative and interesting. Do go and have a look at the website to see the full list of different module options that we have available. And if anything's still not clear after that, then do feel free to send us an email at the address that you can see on the screen over there. Thanks very much for listening, and I do hope to see many, many of you with us in London in September. Thank you.